first met Paula Williams 19 years ago. We were at a PTA meeting, and she had her young, under 1-year-old child, Christian, and I had mine, Xavier. And Xavier and Christian went on to be great friends, having similar hobbies and similar interests. And it was always nice to have Christian come and hang out at my house from time to time. And of course, to have Xavier go over to their house from time to time. And Paula Williams is an amazing woman. She has shown great resiliency. She is a loving wife. She is an extremely supportive mom. Where her kids are, you will find her. When they're doing something, she is there cheering them on. And she is a breast cancer survivor, and she is a fierce woman of God. So I bring to you Paula Williams.
Such an honor and a privilege to be here today. I'm just so excited and grateful. God's hand is always in the mix of everything. And when I got the call from Pastor Lewis, the gracious call to speak to you, I just said yes immediately. And in this moment, since I've been here, I know the reason why. The song that Dexter just led the praise and worship team with, You Thought I Was Worth Saving. I've heard that song hundreds of times, but it wasn't until being in this service and in this moment that I knew what it meant to me. That God thought that I was worth saving. He wanted me to be made whole so that I could tell everyone I know what He did for me. And I'm just so grateful for that revelation since I've been here. So thank you. Very quickly, I bring you greetings from the First Cathedral Church right up the street. I'm so happy to have my husband, Deacon Richard Williams, of 25 years here. My daughter is out of town right now, but my son, who Renee just talked about, who went to school with Xavier since they were 3 years old, Christian, he came home from college and goes back to school in college. And he's here along with his girlfriend, KK, thank you. And there are two special women in my life. One of them I just met recently, and she just touched me in ways you can't. Just having friendship in a late age is wonderful. And the fact that the two of them are sitting next to each other is just amazing because they never met. But one of your own, Tracy, my co-breast cancer survivor. And many of you probably don't know this, but there is a mighty woman of God. I didn't even know she would be here. The prophetess, Lorna Numa. Sit right next to Tracy. She is my prayer partner. Thank you. So I'm not going to take up most of a lot of your time. I know you have other speakers. Melissa, I see you. I just want to tell of His goodness and what God did for me. I'm going to give you the abbreviated version. So I'm the type of person that gets a mammogram every year. Without fail, mammogram, pap smear, physical, they're just things I do, just check off the dots. And this particular year, the year before last, I can't believe it's been over a year now, I went to get my mammogram. It was the 3D mammogram at Jefferson Radiology, and it came back saying, we are pleased to inform you that your mammogram was fine. No cancer, everything was good. So I was very happy about that. And then a month went by, and my OBGYN's office called, and they said, we want you to have an ultrasound. And I'm like, why? I had the 3D mammogram. I'm fine with those results. I don't want to get the ultrasound. I was thinking about cost. And just to let you guys know, if you're ever worried about what your insurance will pay and won't pay when it comes to ultrasounds and pap smears, as of January 1st, 2023, a law was passed in the state of Connecticut where you don't pay anything for ultrasounds or pap smears, and your mammogram is already covered. So don't let that ever deter you, because I was thinking about, can we afford another bill? That's what I was thinking. Well, the reason she wanted me to get the ultrasound was because she remembered something that I had shared with her. That back in 2016 on Father's Day, I was with my dad. We were at his house in Trumbo. We were sitting on the deck, and he began to talk to me about his mother, who he never talks about, ever. I knew nothing about this lady, and he was talking about her, and he told me that they lived in a country called Belize in Central America, and that they came to the United States because she had breast cancer, and they want to give her the best treatment possible. So they came here. She was fighting for her life. He met my mother. They got married, had me, and she passed away before I was born. Her name was Pauline, and they named me after her, Pauline. And now I knew that I had a grandmother that had breast cancer, and I told that to my doctors. Well, it turns out that one of the reasons of getting an ultrasound, you can have dense breast, family history, and now I had family history. 2 days after my father told me that, he went to New York City and died tragically. And had he not shared that information right before he died, who knows if I would even be here right now, because that was very important. So anyway, I agreed to get the ultrasound. They did the ultrasound. The ultrasound found 2 masses, one under my arm and one on the breast. Then they did follow-up tests and biopsies, and that revealed that the one under the arm was non-cancerous. It was a side effect of one of the vaccines that I had. The one in the breast turned out to be cancerous. So then I just rallied my prayer group led by Lorna Numa and lots of people, and I just kept asking people, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me, because I knew if the praises would come up, the healing would come down. And so God raised an army that was just bombarding heaven on my behalf. So we proceeded with that. We met with the breast cancer surgeon. She was telling me that she was going to go in. It was quite small at the time, 1.7 centimeters, take it out, followed by chemo, and then followed by radiation. So time passed, because lots of things, lots of tests, lots of meetings, lots of tests to see even if your children have it, and things just kept progressing. But I'll never forget, on my son's birthday, December 16th, we had a telehealth visit, so we weren't even in person. It was on Zoom. Everybody's getting ready to go celebrate with Christian. And she called, and I'm like, you gotta give me good news. It's my son's birthday, I need good news. And she told me that the tumor that was 1.7 centimeters was something we call HER2 positive, which is aggressive, and that it's actually now 5 centimeters. It had more than doubled in size. It's in my body trying to kill me. And so she said, we can't even do the surgery because it's too large to operate on. And she's like, you're going to have to go through chemo, you're going to get sick, you may lose your hair, lose your nails, all these crazy things. And it was just like a blur to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, who are you talking about? Because you can't be talking about me. Like, you said we were going to go in and take it out. Well, she was talking about me. And we started the chemo. And just, I can't even describe how terrible the chemo was. And I would proceed to go to the breast cancer center every 3 weeks for over a year. I actually just had my last visit, but I'll get to that. And so every 3 weeks, and the day after the treatment, my husband would have to stick me in my stomach with more medication that would just give me bone pain throughout my whole entire body where I couldn't even move. So this went on for weeks and months. And then it came time for the surgery. And at this point, I was just done. I was so sick. There were days where I didn't even want to go to chemo. I would cry in the car and say, I don't want to go. And my husband would just put on praise and worship music. He would bring oil. He would bring communion. And he would just keep me prayed up and encourage me. Meanwhile, people all over were encouraging me. And we just prayed. We were just always praying. And then I said, if you're going to take one, I'd like for you to just take both. I'm just done. And so I decided to do a double mastectomy. And by my choice, I know everybody's journey is different, but that's just what felt right with me. I was just so sick and so frail. So they did the double mastectomy. And right before that, I know we're in close proximity, and Leonard Lockhart is always going for the Board of Education. In the parking lot of the L.P. Wilson Center, a group of people held hands in a circle and prayed for me and another one of my friends, Ali, battling cancer. And they shut down the whole street on Root Avenue. And over 60, 70 cars just came by, blowing their horns, saying, you got this, God's got you. You're going to make it. They're dropping off cards and money. And it was like, God is just like so good. And so they called it the encouragement parade. Police escorted the encouragement parade right up the road here. So then I was ready for the surgery. We had the surgery. She removed both breasts. I came home the very next day. I was home. Things were going well. I was just resting. And then on the third day, I started feeling not like myself, like more pain than normal. I had these drains and they were leaking blood, and it was going from a drip to just overflowing with blood. All of a sudden, everything turned gray. I couldn't see. I heard ringing in my ears. Then the ringing just stopped. I couldn't hear. I could barely stand. And it got to the point where the blood was coming out so much that my husband just pulled, the bulb just burst. And he put the drains in his mouth to try to suck the blood out just to give me relief because I was just in so much pain. So we couldn't wait for the ambulance. He takes me to Hartford Hospital. We get to Hartford Hospital, and everybody there is saying, you're not supposed to be here. You just had surgery the other day in New Britain. You're not supposed to be at this hospital. We couldn't locate my breast cancer doctor. Her office wasn't responding. So finally, my husband went on Facebook through Messenger and got in touch with her and said, my wife needs you. And she said, I'll be there in 45 minutes. God allowed her to come to a hospital that she doesn't even work at just to operate on me. She went in, she cut the right breast open again. There was a 1-liter hematoma on my chest that was crushing me. And she was able to take that out. And I then had to stay in the hospital remember I came home the next day, so that put me back in the hospital, blood transfusions. I was in the hospital on Father's Day. And keep in mind, I was doing this during COVID, where people could not visit me. They could not hang out with me. My aunts, my mother, everybody, they just couldn't come. And they didn't even want visitors in the hospital. I was literally trying to sneak the kids in on Father's Day, one at a time. So I just want to say that 2 weeks later, she wanted me to come to the doctor's office. And I'm like, why would they even ask me that? I'm bandaged. I have pillows under my arm. I could barely walk. I could barely go to the bathroom. And she wanted me in person. And I'm like, why would she do that? So we go to her office. She puts me on the table. And she's like, oh, the stitches look nice. And I'm like, thank you. And then you do good work. You're amazing. And she goes, I got the results of the 12 lymph nodes that we removed from your body before the surgery. And I'm like, what? And she's like, yeah, I got the results because it's only been 2 weeks. And she goes, all 12 of the lymph nodes were benign, non-cancer. So I'm like, thank you God, just like so grateful. I didn't even think to ask her about the breast because I know that things like this take many weeks, sometimes months. And then she sat me up and she said, I also have the pathology report from the breast. And I'm like, okay. She's like, you want the results? I'm like, yes. And she had 4 pieces of paper. Before she read the paper, she said that when she went in to cut into the breast to remove the cancer, there was no cancer in my body. It was gone. God had dried it completely out. And I was just like, God is so good. Like the prayers of the righteous avail much. And so I said, what does this mean? And then my husband said, well, the next step was radiation, where they, burn you and put you through all of that. And he said, does she still need radiation? And she said, your wife doesn't need radiation. Your wife is something that we call NED, no evidence of disease. And I am just here to tell you that God is a miracle worker. Have faith in Him. There's a scripture that one of Christian's friends, Nia, gave to me. She sent me a text message and she said, read 2 Kings 20:5. And it says, I have heard your prayers I have seen your tears, and I will heal you. And I am standing here today in higher heights to let you